Hey guys, it's Joe Fink with Hand Drawn Pressing and Hand Drawn Records in Addison, Texas, coming to you live on the internet again to bring you cool stuff. That's what we're trying to do during this COVID-19 crisis that we're all a part of and we're all going through. Trying to educate everyone in the process of vinyl record manufacturing and just the vinyl industry in itself. So we're bringing in all kinds of cool players. You guys have got to meet some of the staff that work here at Hand Drawn, and we're going to introduce someone else to you today. And her name is Jessa, and she's out in San Clemente, California. Jessa, thanks for joining us today.
Hello.
Hey, man, how's things going out there?
I mean, it's always really nice here. It's Southern California, and it's a beach town. So other than the fact no one can go outside, we're cool.
Right on, right on. Just trying to adapt to the new ways is what we're doing, right? Hopefully we're going to get through it pretty soon. How long have you been doing the stay-at-home social distance thing now? Do you even know?
I think, California went into lockdown March 14th or 5th, March 17th. So it's been since March 17th, but I started staying home when I got back from my last business trip. So it's been about a month and a half, but I work from home anyway. So
Right.
This just means I don't occasionally leave the house while you're working from home.
So what are you missing right now?
What am I missing? It's April. This weekend I was supposed to be in Denver for Record Store Day, so That's something I'm missing. Last month I missed South by Southwest like everyone else.
Yep.
This summer I'll be missing the Burger Records Boogaloo, but everything gets shifted around, and you shift. There's nothing else you can really do. So
that's how this has kind of evolved. We've kind of shifted, and we're trying to find ways to stay in contact with people. You see musicians and everybody doing their stuff where they're going online and doing the shows and virtual tip jar and all that. And we've got all these guys on staff who know how to do this stuff. So I'm like, why don't we just make up a podcast and have some things happening to where we can educate people on the vinyl industry and what's happening in the record world. Back a few months ago, you guys were getting ready to have a conference out your way. And you had some friends, some folks that are in the vinyl industry, and you guys took a walk on the beach. Tell us what happened when you're out walking on the beach.
So I invited a bunch of industry peers before the Making Vinyl conference to come to San Clemente, where I live, because then I don't have to go anywhere. And that makes my life easy, because driving in California. So got a bunch of people together, ate some pizza, had some drinks, hung out, and went on a very long walk on the beach. And when you get people in the manufacturing side or have relationships to the manufacturing side of the industry to get together, I mean, you come up with ideas. You're able to really bounce things off of each other. And it was really great for developing some solid, I hate to use the word actionable, but there it is, actionable ideas of how to improve the industry, how to just overall improve how things function and things that are you can actually do. So it was a really good conversation, and from that formed kind of the seed of the idea of this group called Verma, which is all about supporting North American vinyl manufacturing, the process, the people, the format. So,
and you mentioned Verma, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. But real quick before we move on, Dustin was telling me about this walk that you guys had on the beach, and is in San Clemente. And he said when he was telling me about it that he wanted to just keep walking because he has heard that possibly the Michael Jordan of men's beach volleyball, Karch Karai, lives in San Clemente, California. And if you happen to know the guy or run across him, you would get so many points. I wouldn't call them brownie points, but you would get all the points in the world if you could just get maybe a selfie or an autograph for Dustin, because he's fanboying out right now. This man has a 41-inch vertical jump in sand. I know too much about Karch Karai, and I was just told about him today, and it's all from Dustin. So keep walking on that beach.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah,
I'll see what I can do. Sure.
Back to the story. I had to bust on Dustin a minute. Back to the story. With the VMRA coming out of this, it's a like-minded group of individuals that all work inside the vinyl record manufacturing industry, and it's from all different walks of it, right? Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything from master to label to jacket, everything that's involved in that process. I mean, because the different points do need to understand how they all work together.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not going to have a fully functioning industry if you compartmentalize each part of the process. So it allows for greater collaboration, streamlining of the work, and better support for what each point in the process does.
Moving forward, we're all, just going through the social distancing now and staying home and being hunkered down. But there's going to be a time when we all get to go back out and do things and get to experience shows again and going out on tours. And, I don't know how soon that'll be. For me, I'm ready to go back out right away, but I know it's probably going to be a slow roll to this. Do you have any thoughts on that, on what that might possibly look like, the tour world, what shows are going to be like later? Any idea, or do you think it's going to be just going back to the way it was before?
I think it's going to take a while for things to get back to the way they were before, and to a certain extent, it's never really going to completely return back to where it was before, in my opinion. And there are a lot of different ways that whole after music economy looks. It could be longer tours to smaller venues. It could be a more premium based touring economy where, I mean, I would hate to see this happen, but I think it is something that especially the larger acts are looking at it as a possibility of, if you can't play to rooms more than 250 people, why not play to rooms of 250 people who are paying $1,000 a pop to do it? That is a sustainable model. It's an example of a sustainable model. More subscription services for digital live casting. I think it's great that all the artists have been live streaming, but I think that many of the artists who are doing it are trying to think, how do I turn this into something that I can actually earn a living from? Because each state has different policies on how many people you can have in a large group and when they'll be opening back up and what they want to see. But then there's also the liability issues. If within the next couple of years, I'm pretty sure insurance providers are not going to be covering lawsuits from outbreaks at a show or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of little things that can get considered. So what does that look like? I mean, so there was the whole luxury model where you're going to have some artists who go to their absolute tip-top fans and people pay more, but they get closer access. There's digital subscription models. There's physical product subscription models. I think more artists, because there are a lot of established artists, like named artists that people are familiar with, who are no longer on labels or have limited agreements with labels. So they're mostly releasing their own music. Those artists are going to want to have more access to their prior catalog with labels so that they can do physical format releasing. I've seen it myself where artists are just like, hey, the thing I know I can sell to people is this thing they really recognize. So how do I, as an artist, actually license my own music instead of a third-party label? And I mean, that's an interesting thing because it would be very good for the vinyl industry, because a lot of artists want to do this. They want to release their stuff on vinyl, and they don't necessarily want it to be just a record store day release. They want it to be something they can put out into the marketplace at any time. The wall you run into there is traditional physical format licensing is a bit complex, and it's not just that it's complex, it isn't built for working directly with an artist. So for example, if you are a band that had a big hit in the 90s and your album was on Geffen and now it's owned by Universal, getting through the process of getting that album to release on vinyl, a typical license would mean a mechanical license, which technically that means that they're selling you the whole album. They count it out. Well, if they don't have any of your archives, then you as an artist are actually trying to put together a deal to be able to just use your own archives to release this thing. But they're not really built for that. So I think there might be some changes in the way physical deals are drawn up to allow for more direct-to-fan release of the product. I think more artists are going to be looking at product monetization. This is like, I know this is getting down in the weeds here.
This is exactly what I wanted to hear. So yeah.
Of the vinyl industry, it can be a very positive thing because vinyl is a great format because it is still the music. Right. I mean, it is a product, and you have people that talk about statistics about, 50% of people who buy vinyl don't listen to it. But in my mind, while that statistic I think is not entirely accurate, there are a portion of people who don't actually listen to the album, but right. They want to have that thing. And if it's between a vinyl record and a t-shirt, I personally always lean towards the vinyl record as a thing to feel good about, because at least the music is still involved.
Correct.
Because when you just focus on, we need product, we need merchandise, then what you're saying is the music isn't the valuable thing, the artist's brand is. And that is a really dangerous road to go down when it comes to music, because then it turns into further devaluating, dear God, further devaluing the music itself.
Just a point there that you were saying, I've heard people say that it's not the music industry anymore, that it's the merchandise industry. And I don't like to hear that term, because, you'll see some of these smaller bands, we'll call them, that may control a lot of their own destiny. They're not working with a major, they're not doing that stuff, but they have all these different things at the merch table. You may have one record, but they've got 10 shirts and they got 4 koozies, and then they've got these stickers and all this stuff. And they're like, well, you really have to bring all this stuff. Your fans want all this stuff. Well, without the music, you wouldn't be drawing these fans anywhere. I kind of have a feeling that by putting all that extra stuff on the table, you're taking away from the main course. And the main course to me is the music. I agree with you on that point. You see some guys that are out there now. I've always told people that digital downloads and streaming services and vinyl, they have the opportunity to work and to live hand in hand. I purchase records, I buy records, I pay for streaming services as well. There's a time when I want to listen to that record and I'm going to sit down and have that relationship that you have to go through in order to play vinyl. But there's another time when I'm just going to go, I'm making pancakes, let's stream this song, and check this thing out, That way, that coexistence that we have right now, do you see that evolving more because of the virtual experience of it? Or do you see people really trying to branch it out, and to use the physical medium and the digital medium as one in itself? Does that make sense?
I do. I've actually commented on this before. The rise in vinyl is deeply, the reemergence, I don't want to say resurgence again, for the rest of my life. I've heard it so many times, but the rise in vinyl as the preferred physical format for music, and the reason why cassettes have been growing in popularity again, and CDs not so much, is that when you are in a streaming and digital world, you do have endless access to that thing. But if you really love it and you want to totemize it within your own life, there's no other choice but a record.
Right.
It's large. It feels more representative of that thing. And there's a certain level of, I hate to say it, but novelty, and that really applies to cassette tapes. But yes, I believe the analog records sound better. But as a thing, if you are listening to music a lot on streaming, if you're going to actually invest in your fandom, then a record is the choice. So the rise in record purchasing is deeply related to the rise in streaming, because streaming is a discovery format. Streaming is fantastic. Streaming gives you access to anything and allows you to fall in love with a track and then listen to other tracks and then fall in love with the artist. And then when you fall in love with that artist, you can decide, I'm going to follow them on socials. I'm going to see them live. I'm going to buy their merch. I've been allowed to discover someone that at no other point in music history would I have ever had the opportunity to discover this person's music unless someone had given me a mixtape in the 90s. So I think what's going to come, especially with everything going on right now, is a more symbiotic relationship between that physical digital, because I think fans, especially right now, are really getting the message of, hey, when an artist can't tour, that was how they made their money. When you buy music, when you buy merchandise, you directly support the artist. So you can actually take that digital relationship, but also get people to go like, you know what, I am going to be a good fan, and I am going to give to the artist, not as like, here's a donation, but I'm going to buy your music. Like, you should get paid for doing this thing. Like, here you go. So if that makes any sense, I think that there's going to be a better, more sustainable relationship between the digital world and the physical, because I think people will be more attuned to the issues involved with not making those purchases. If that makes sense.
I believe you're exactly right. With the fact that streaming is a great way to discover different acts and new acts, before you actually go all in, and decide that I really dig that, so I'm going to buy this record. I told people that I've worked with before that the best physical return on your art and on your music, it's not the streaming, it's not the CD, it's actually vinyl, right? Because people, if they want your record, they have to go buy your record. You can't, link it and download it or steal it. You have to actually physically go and hunt and get this record and take care of it, and it becomes a part of your collection. Give away your downloads, put those in the records as well, and maybe make your download something cool and have it linked back to like your social media stuff, or have a special tie-in that's just digital only because you did buy that physical copy of the record. I really think that there goes a lot to between having the digital and then your physical, to keep for that collection, to have at home, to go back and enjoy as you listen to it and stroll through the liner notes, and look at all the things that come along with it. I think that possibly the future of record manufacturing and making those kind of records is people are going to put more personalized type items into their vinyls. They're going to make that package more than just a record and a sleeve and a jacket.
Vinyls is not a plural. Pluralization of vinyl is vinyl.
Yeah. Thank
Keep going.
you.
Sorry, that is my only pet peeve.
Jessa's that person, and she called me out right away. Oh,
sorry.
No, bravo, man, bravo. Vinyls is not proper, is it now? Is it? But you know what I mean. Exactly. With if you make that vinyl for the fans out there, if you make it more special, and put a little extra into the packaging, or limited run, or a variant, or things of that sort. It's really that much more of a draw to have people go out and go, yeah, I'm going to get that. That's really cool. I'm picking it up. Hey, we do a thing on here. We do 5 questions with everybody that we have on. And it's a really kind of a cool thing that people like, and it gives you an opportunity to just yes or no on a couple of things, and then you can elaborate and talk some more about yourself. The first question, are you ready to get to them, Jessa?
Yeah, bring it.
They're simple and easy. Here we go. First question: what was your first record?
Well, I got a collection with my first record, so I have no actual. This was my first record, but I remember, okay. So when I was a little kid, because I'm just old enough to have actually used the format in my ute. So I remember I had 2 story records, because my parents were nerds. One was the story of Romeo and Juliet, which who knows why, and Tarzan. And the reason I remembered Tarzan was because it had a skip on side 2 on the word Tarzan. So as soon as you hit that point, it was just basically an endless Tarzan. So I guess my first records were Romeo and Juliet and Tarzan.
That's awesome.
Story records.
Story records are good.
There you go.
This is possibly a line in the sand from our ingenious tech crew. They want to know, if you got to pick one, NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, which one?
Backstreet Boys. I didn't really like either of them, but Backstreet Boys were all much more attractive as a whole. Much more attractive.
These guys are jumping around on the other side of this camera right now. I think you're the first one that's gone Team Backstreet. Dogs are...
They're all Well-adjusted humans. I don't know. I have nothing.
Dogs or
Justin
cats?
Timberlake and a little twerp. Oh, I shouldn't express that opinion.
Jessa throwing out the JT. Oh, nice.
Crud. I'm gonna get in trouble for that. So dogs or cats?
Yeah.
I grew up with dogs. I have a cat now that is very dog-like, so dog-like cats.
Nice. That totally works. That totally works. Speaking of growing up, where did you grow up?
Colorado.
Really? Where at in Colorado?
Littleton?
Nice. Yeah, I have a niece that lives in Littleton, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old is she?
Oh, she's in her early 20s, mid-20s. Yeah.
Okay. Where did she go to high school?
I can't tell you that. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Not that good. Yeah, can't tell you that. So we've got 4 of the 5 questions out of the way. Last one coming up at you. When did you decide, Jessa, that you were going to do what you do now? When did it just like, this is me. This is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do.
I honestly, that actually is still evolving.
Good girl.
It's since as we talked about earlier, like I work for myself. I have my own company. I do my own thing. So I it's not an answer of like, this is what I do, like this is me. It's an openness to like, I don't really say no when someone has an idea or wants to pursue a project. So you end up in this industry and working in vinyl if it's something that you're genuinely interested in. So like there was no point. It was just like, this is it. It was just kind of like, hey, I can keep on doing this. So, because I've worked in other industries. I used to work in consumer electronics, product development. I worked in finance for a period of time. And working with vinyl as a part of my company, I also work with general label stuff. I also work with digital releases. I work with artists. I've done music videos. Like I keep it open, but the music industry offers a certain level of, you don't really have to necessarily brush your hair every day. That really speaks to me.
Yeah, it totally does. It totally does. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us today and for going into some cool stuff. I'm going to show you what everybody waits for the most on these little talks and these conversations that we do. And I would like to think that it's you or me, but I know that it's not. Everybody really wants me to get to the puck of the week, and that's what this is. All right, so there's our puck of the week. You see that cool gold color?
Can you bring it over?
I will get it brought over to you. No problem. There we go.
There we go.
See that?
Yeah.
Some call this a biscuit. Here we call it a puck. I'm going to throw it over. This is what makes your record before it turns into a record. So you put that into the press, and it actually comes out looking like this bad boy here. Nice. Cool. So that's the puck of the week. That's the color that makes that cool gold one there. Hey, Jessa, anything else you'd like to add before we go ahead and wrap this up, man? What are you looking forward to doing first thing once we get back to COVID quarantine?
I will continue doing what I'm doing. I hasn't really slowed down a lot because I went into this with a major project. So I have something on a press right now. The band Presidents of the United States of America from the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are pressing about 7,000 records right now in relationship to a project there. So that's
good news.
And especially doing it right now when everything is slowed down / closing down. It's been an interesting experience, brief concerns of things shutting down. But I look forward to everyone being able to get back to normal. I look forward to people having their jobs. I look forward to people being able to calm down. So that's what I look forward to.
Great, man. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. And let us know when that Presidents of the United States of America thing's done, man, because I'm always interested, for sure.
Word.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.